Hello, and welcome to the next in the Effective Writing Center series of workshops. I am Dan Gallagher, Director of the EWC. Tonight's workshop is titled Recharge Your Writing Battery and is being presented by Laura Deffley and Kevin Folliard. Laura Deffley in English from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where she studied literature, psychology, and gender studies. She continued her study of literature at the University of Maryland at College Park, where she earned an MA. Laura has worked at both of her alma maters as well as at New York University. Since 2008, she has been an online writing advisor for the Effective Writing Center at UMUC. Kevin Folliard has been a writing advisor with UMUC's Effective Writing Center since 2010. He has a degree in English and creative writing from the University of Illinois in Champaign. He has also published sci-fi, horror, and young adult fiction. To ask a question during tonight's broadcast, please use the chat feature in YouTube, either below or to the side of your viewing window. This workshop will be archived, like all of our workshops, for future viewing in the Effective Writing Center's Google Plus community. And now, let's begin tonight's workshop, Laura.
Thank you, Dan. Kevin and I are excited to tackle this very real issue that plagues students concerning how to restore their energy levels when they are busy with school, work, and life commitments that drain their battery levels. First, we wanted to define what we mean by a drained battery. Students should look out for certain behavioral, thought, and feeling warning signs that will let them know if their batteries are becoming too low. For instance, if you think that you cannot concentrate at all, you may find yourself watching a cat video after cat video on YouTube, or videos of cats watching videos on YouTube because you can just not bring yourself to focus on your writing assignments. Or you may be thinking horrible things about yourself that you would never say aloud to another person, but you believe these thoughts are somehow true about you. In addition, you may be feeling terrified, frightened, or overwhelmed because you have no idea how you're going to tackle this writing assignment, let alone complete it by the deadline. If you have experienced any of these common red flags, do not worry. You are a perfectly normal student who has a lot on his or her plate. Kevin and I are going to give you some strategies to help you deal with these behaviors, thoughts, and feelings so you can recharge your writing battery to complete your writing assignments on time. You may have heard the word mindfulness a lot recently in the media. So what does it mean? Well, we are using the definition created by a medical doctor named Jon Kabat-Zinn, who has been running a successful stress reduction program out of the University of Massachusetts Medical School since 1979. Dr. Kabat-Zinn simply defines mindfulness as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. You may be wondering how being purposeful, present, and non-judgmental can help you with writing. Well, research has shown that mindfulness increases awareness, observational skills, acceptance levels, compassion, and empathy, and the ability to approach challenges head-on while also reducing anxiety, depression, judgmental tendencies, avoidance, spacing out, and being on autopilot. Basically, mindfulness can help you focus on your writing as well as be less critical of your writing. By being purposeful, you are less likely to fall down those YouTube rabbit video holes. By being present, you are also more likely to focus on the here and now. You may find fact that you may be feeling worried about the assignment, or you might just be hungry because you forgot to eat lunch earlier in the day because you had a busy day at work. Thus, you might actually just need some food to help you feel less agitated. Being non-judgmental means accepting what is going on. So you might not have started the assignment yet. That's a fact. But it doesn't mean you have to say mean things to yourself. You can accept what you have and have not done up to this point and move forward from there. Now, Kevin has an anecdote to share about a student who let go of pressures and concerns to focus on the present.
Thank you, Laura. Students are often under stress. Pressure to succeed comes from many different life factors. Here's a story about a student I once dealt with who we'll call Jason. Jason scheduled a live advising appointment with the EWC. He had a partial draft of an assignment, and the due date was fast approaching. Before we even had a chance to talk about his paper, he told me the following. Jason was a busy guy. He had a full-time job. He was going back to school for a degree, and he had a family to support and take care of. Jason's work offered tuition reimbursement for the class he was taking, but only if he received a certain grade or higher. The paper he was struggling to complete would literally make or break that grade. Essentially, if Jason did not ace this paper, he owed tuition money that his employer would not cover. Now, who doesn't want to save money, earn credit, gain recognition and respect from your employer, provide for your family, and feel good about succeeding? It's a high-pressure situation that all comes down to one lousy paper. I think this is a situation that we can all empathize with. But here is the problem. Getting stressed out does not help you write a paper. In fact, the more these stressors festered in Jason's mind, the more they hindered his progress on the assignment. Before we even started talking about the writing, I had to tell Jason to take a breath and try to set aside the pressure inherent in the consequences of his grade. And while we're not all in that exact same situation as Jason for every assignment we write, there is always pressure to get a good grade. There are always consequences, and we know that failure is a real possibility. Our mind seems almost hardwired to fear failure, but the most frustrating part is that fear of failure actually works against success. Yikes, it's depressing. But there are coping mechanisms that go hand in hand with writing, and Laura is about to walk us through some concrete suggestions that could help a writer like Jason to de-stress and refocus his energy productively.
Thanks for that story, Kevin. I wanted to recommend 3 simple mindfulness exercises that students can use to help them recharge and let go of worries that could get in the way of them being productive with a writing assignment. First, there is stop. Imagine that after a long day of working and taking care of your children, you are logging on to Leo to check your assignments for the week in your classrooms. You notice that you have a paper due in 2 weeks. When you click on the directions, you realize that it requires a lot of research before you can even begin writing. You start to worry that you will not have enough time to find the articles, read them, and write the paper. When you start to become worried, it helps to remember to stop. Take a deep breath. Then open and observe. What thoughts are going round and around in your head? You do not have to make a decision about them or pass judgment on them. Please just observe them. Only after stopping, taking a breath, and observing do you proceed. You can proceed to start finding articles for the paper. You can proceed to write the instructor a calm email asking for an extension. You can proceed from a place of giving yourself a moment to collect yourself as opposed to reacting right away. Another activity that you can do is mindful eating. Imagine you're in the process of reading the articles you found for your paper. It's taking you longer than you expected to understand them. You keep having to reread paragraphs to grasp the meaning, and you are feeling tired. Thus, you decide you need to take a break. Mindful eating is an activity that is different from how we normally eat. The goal is to find something small and flavorful like a raisin, orange, or whatever you have in your home. Then give yourself permission to really savor that small snack. Instead of just popping it into your mouth quickly, please take some time to really experience it. For instance, you can break down the process to prolong the experience. Consider just holding the food in your hand for a minute to feel its weight. Then consider bringing the food up to your eyes as close as is comfortable to really study it. Next, run your fingers over the food to feel the grooves that might be in it. Then, bring the food to your nose to really smell it before placing it on your tongue and letting it sit there without doing anything for a minute. Next, slowly proceed to chew the food thoroughly for a while to really break it down. Only after the food is completely broken down should you swallow. Then notice how you feel. Do you feel calmer? Do you want more food? Or do you feel satiated? A third activity that you might find helpful is a 1-minute meditation. Let's say you submitted the paper you researched and worked really hard on for the past 2 weeks. When you opened up your online classroom to view the grade, you see that you got a lower grade than you were expecting. You start to feel angry and you want to write the instructor an email to let him or her know that you disagree with the grade. Before writing an email in anger, please consider doing a 1-minute meditation. You can use a kitchen timer, although many cell phones have a timer app built into them. Also, there are even meditation apps that have timers as well as guided meditations in them. Basically, give yourself a minute to comfortably sit by yourself and feel your breath. You do not have to control anything or worry. Rather, when you realize you stopped paying attention to your breath, please go back to noticing it. When the breath is over, or when the minute is over, reassess how you are feeling. Do you need to take another minute to concentrate on your breath? Do you need to get up and walk away from your computer for a little while? Pay attention to what you need so you do not send an email in anger. Later, when you feel calmer, which may take longer than 1 minute, you can decide if you want to send an email to the instructor to inquire for clarification on the grading or ask if you can revise the assignment. There are many other activities and factors to consider when you notice your battery is low. Kevin is going to discuss the importance of understanding the writing process, scheduling your time, taking breaks, and asking the EWC for help.
Thanks for those tips, Laura. Like so many tasks in life, writing is a process. It takes time and patience. Typically, the more time you allow for, the stronger your paper will become. There's no one-size-fits-all schedule for how quickly to write a paper, but here is a good strategy to consider. Early in the semester, when you start a class, review the syllabus and the due dates. Use your personal calendar to track the due dates of major writing assignments. Set a getting started date for each assignment that gives you plenty of time to plan, draft, revise, and proofread. At least a week in advance of the due date is a good rule of thumb, but you can give yourself more time as much as you feel you need. Just keep in mind that longer papers will likely require more time to draft and revise than shorter papers. On day one, very carefully read and review your assignment requirements for that paper. Make a brainstorming list or a cluster of topic ideas and supporting ideas that you'd likely use in fulfilling that paper's requirements. A brainstorming list can be as long or as detailed as you want. You can even brainstorm out loud with a friend or family member. Just be sure to write down or type up the best ideas as they come up. Once you have a healthy list of ideas, narrow it down. Pick the approaches or ideas that sound the most interesting and fun to you. You might want to do some preliminary research before, after, or during the brainstorming process, depending on how familiar you are with this topic. If you're not that familiar, conducting some initial research can help get the ideas flowing. On day two, make a starter outline. The starter outline should be based on your best ideas from your brainstorming session, along with some preliminary research if needed. In your outline, you want to have a good plan for what you'll be explaining and supporting in each section of your paper: introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. Just like the brainstorming phase, you'll probably be conducting research before, during, or after you make your outline. Once you have an outline, you have a better idea of what kind of research to focus on. On day three, expand your outline. The more detailed and specific an outline becomes, the easier your job will be when you write the full text of your paper. Detailed outlines can even include specific quotes, ideas, or supporting points from your research. It'll make your job easier later on if you even put the exact citations you plan to use right into the outline. That way you can just copy and paste those accurate citations right into the rough draft of your paper later. Depending on how you're feeling about the outline, you might get started on drafting your paper on day three as well. For example, it might be a good time to draft your thesis statement and introduction. On day four, write the rough draft. Rough drafts do not have to be perfect, and it's normal for there to be typographical, grammatical, and mechanical errors at this point. Focus more on the ideas and how you are going to explain and support them. Use your outline as a guide. Remember, the better your outline has become by this point, the easier it will be to draft the paper. It's important to let a rough draft sit overnight so you can approach it again with fresh eyes the next day. Although you can certainly submit a draft to the EWC at any point from outlining onward, day four might be an especially good time to submit your draft to the EWC to help make sure that you have enough time to receive and incorporate feedback into your final revisions. On day five, revise for content and organization. Read your rough draft and be very critical of your ideas. Where are your ideas weak and where are they strong? Paragraphs might need more support from research or examples. How is your thesis holding up? Does it match the content of the body of the paper? Maybe your thesis can use a tweak or two to best establish the topics that have become most important over the course of drafting the paper. Does each body paragraph have a strong topic sentence that links to the thesis, plenty of supporting ideas, and a strong concluding remark? Does the conclusion do a good job of reviewing all the key ideas and reflecting on the significance of your topic at large? Are there any counter arguments or refutations to address if you're writing a more persuasive paper? How would an opponent of your ideas respond to this paper? Find all those best ways to improve the content of your ideas and the way they are organized on the page. On day 6, proofread, proofread, and then proofread some more. Ideally, you've already revised carefully for content. You may continue to find ways to enhance or improve your ideas, but you want to focus more on grammar, mechanics, spelling, and weeding out typos at this stage. Proofreading out loud with a friend is a terrific way to catch those errors that your eyes tend to overlook. Take a rest between proofreading sessions. Proofread your paper once in the morning, once on your lunch break, and twice in the evening. Give your mind time to recharge between proofreading, and you will catch more errors. Finally, on day 7, polish up your paper. By now, you've likely got a very strong draft, but maybe you've gotten some good feedback from a test reader or the EWC that you'd like to incorporate. You're likely to find a few more typographical, grammatical, and mechanical errors in this polishing up phase as well. Give yourself this last chance to really make your paper as perfect as you can. Nobody else can decide when a paper is done but you, so make sure you are happy before you submit for grading. Finally, remember that while a step-by-step schedule like this is a fantastic way to stay on task and avoid waiting until the last minute, the process of writing is not always going to be a straight line. Often, it's more of a zigzag line. Sometimes it will feel like you take one step forward and 2 steps back. That's normal. Sometimes we have to make discoveries and pursue an idea a little bit to realize we need to adjust our topic or approach. You might have to go back to brainstorming after you discover that the topic or approach you have doesn't have enough good research to support it. You might have to change your topic after writing a partial draft of your paper and realizing that something about your argument isn't holding up or ringing true based on what you're learning from research. You might write a whole paragraph that ends up being cut from the final paper because it's not relevant enough to your thesis statement. None of these problems are the end of the world. You are free and encouraged to revisit different stages of the writing process at any point, to conduct more research, strengthen your organizational plan, or fine-tune your thesis to match the heart of what you are saying in the body of your paper. However, these sorts of challenges are the reason why it's good to give yourself plenty of time to write a paper. And best of all, the more time you give yourself to plan and draft your paper, the more familiar you're going to become with your own preferences for how to get from point A, an idea, to point Z, a finished, polished draft. Now, what's important to note about this week-long model is that the writers should not expect to fit the whole process into one day. Notice how breaking down the process like this day by day forces you to take breaks. You might have also noticed that a lot of the advice on mindfulness that Laura gave earlier has that key factor in common. It's all about stopping, pausing, resting, and redirecting your thoughts, feelings, and energy. Never underestimate the power of a break. We recommend scheduling breaks into your writing process on a scale of a week, as well as a scale of the day or the night when you're working on your paper. A break can be almost any redirection of your mind, so long as it's not working on the assignment at hand. You need to take time, let your mind recharge, and reapproach your assignment with fresh eyes and a fresh brain. Here are some good tips for different kinds of breaks. Go take a walk, get some coffee or tea. Read a news article about a different topic or a semi-related topic as your paper. Call a friend or relative to catch up. Watch a short episode of a funny TV show. Get a laugh in. But be careful to time your break and don't let yourself go down the rabbit hole of those distractions. Finally, we hope it goes without saying, but please take advantage of the EWC's services and schedule EWC feedback into your writing process. We are here to help. The Writing Center can help you with any stage of the writing process, from brainstorming to drafting to proofreading and polishing up your paper. We can be a sounding board and help you develop your ideas as well. If you're ever feeling stuck on an assignment, we want to help get you unstuck.
Does anyone have any questions?
It doesn't look like we have any questions at this point, Laura.
Thank you, Dan. If no one has any questions, please remember that you can always reach out to the EWC to ask for help with writing concerns and questions, as Kevin noted. Also, if you're interested in seeing the resources that we used in the presentation, here they are. Plus, we can show you the images. Thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation.
Thanks, everyone.
Please join our Google Plus group to receive information about upcoming presentations provided by the EWC. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel to view past presentations. As always, if you have any questions about how the EWC can help you, please email writingcenter@umuc.edu.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much, Laura. Just to reiterate what Laura said there, you can feel free to post any questions you have right on the YouTube page where this video is housed, or within our Google Plus community under the post that leads to this video. Or if you have questions about this or anything else related to the EWC, please do send us an email at writingcenter@umuc.edu. And we will be back here at 7 p.m. the third Thursday of April for the next in our series of workshops. Until then, please feel free to reach out at any point, and hopefully we will see you in a month. Good night.